At age 12, I embraced atheism. I abandoned the thought that there might be a God, angels, or demons. I also despised the idea of heaven and hell. For me, religion or God was invented to put society in order, and God was man's most treasured invention. My curiosity about God and eternity came about when my grandfather died. While I was staring at his body, I asked, does it end here? So thus began my search to make sense of why we even bother to exist, and also to find the answer to the question, is there really a God? I became preoccupied with the idea of death because I was born with a frail lungs. It was medically predicted that I won't reach high school. Thus found my desire to find answers to these questions. At age 15, my desperation to understand the meaning of life got worse. Since the idea of death had overtaken me so much, I intentionally kept myself awake for fear of not waking up. So I only experienced sleep whenever I get tired of preventing it or fighting it. And in the morning, when I wake up, I was extremely thankful. But the painful part was there was no one to say thank you to. One day at school, a classmate befriended me and introduced himself as a follower of Christ. We had friendly conversations about our respective worldviews, and he made sense. And the way he conducted himself disarmed my defensive attitude towards religion. Then I met his friends. They were the strangest kind of people, and I failed to discern what makes them attractively different. But one thing was certain, I always wanted to be with them even though I disliked them. I often declined their invitation to Bible study, but eventually I agreed. Then I heard the story about Jesus walking on water. Then I asked, how could someone even suspend or control the laws of physics and chemistry? So I wanted to leave immediately, but I hesitated when I heard the gospel. While I was listening to the gospel, I heard splashes of waves, and I looked around figuring out if they're making those sounds for dramatic effect, and there was none. And my heart pounded really fast. Then I smelt the salt water, and my heart pounded faster. You don't experience this sensation or imaginary sensation when you don't generate them. I felt they were being forced upon me, and I whispered, is this you, God? Then a fresh breeze blew on my face. It was the strangest kind of sensation, but it was real. My senses were so alive. Then I felt ashamed of the things I said and thought about God. And that night, I dared myself to believe that Jesus is the Son of God. My first prayer was both intellectually and emotionally awkward, because I don't know how. I slept well that night, and in the morning, I was thankful to someone. Then I told my family what happened. My newfound faith was challenged. Then I learned patience and prayer. They eventually came to know the Lord, but it took some time. Presently, I serve God by leading a D group, and I also co-lead a D group composed of next-gen graduates. In my 30 years of engaging children and young people, I've had priceless opportunities to share Christ with them and to make Christianity understandable to them also. I also serve as a speaker at the Apologetics Forum, where we equip and help Christians engage and answer cultural and intellectual challenges to the Christian faith. God is real and active in making himself known to people. My name is Viloria, and this is God's story in my life.